Whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. I got another funny YouTube subscriber name.
Better than Dick Up the Nose?
I was going to say debatable, but I don't want to debate whether a dick up the nose is a good thing or not. That poor account's probably long since...
What was the other one? Jeff Suck My Cock, wasn't it? Jeff Suck My Cock.
Yeah, that one would have lasted all of a day, probably. Well, mind you, one of the people who email into us has one with a swear word in it, and as far as I'm aware, his channel's still existing. Anyway, so yeah, this one isn't a rude one. It's just I'm surprised YouTube lets you have names this long when you make your channel.
Right, okay.
So would you like to hear it?
No.
I may be pronouncing this incorrectly, so if on the off chance the person hears this, I am sorry. Gustavo Henrique Gomez Chavez Gomez.
That's the name of his channel?
That's the name of his channel.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Not a good channel name to brand.
Not a good mouthful either.
Can you imagine trying? You wouldn't even be able to write that on Twitter, probably.
No.
Subscribe to my channel, and then you wouldn't be able to put the whole name in.
I don't like the whole Twitter having a character restriction. I don't have any...
It's lower now. Only if you put in a link, the restriction is now lower, but only if there's a link. It's to compensate for the average length of a link.
But you get those shortened links. Anyway...
Yes.
I was hearing a story the other day about somebody having a terrible accident, right? But it's a funny terrible accident. Essentially,
it's a funny story.
It's a funny story. Somebody that was walking down the street and to avoid stepping in a dog turd, ended up tripping up and breaking their leg.
How?
I don't know exactly how, but I was thinking, have you had any ridiculously funny accidents?
I think I've mentioned this before a long time ago, but when I was a kid, I stapled my thumb just for the hell of it.
Oh, you and Noodles were made for each other.
Why? Is he masochist?
Your masochism.
Oh, I see. I was bored. I just wanted to see if it would hurt.
I wanted to see. You're not right.
You only did it once.
Only the one.
I'm not sure why I can
Obviously, you realised the first time round, hey, that actually hurts. I'm not doing that again.
Hey, my thumb's bleeding. I better not do that again. I want to know more about how could a person avoiding a dog turd on the street?
Well, they obviously
breaking their leg,
sidestepped or something.
Imagine Charlie Chaplin, they over exaggerate and just kind of do a ninja leap out the way and catch the curb or something. Or the turd was sentient and kicked him in the leg. It's just that sounds like an excuse to get off work. Can't come to work, broke my leg, slipped on shit.
No, they didn't slip on the shit. They avoided the shit.
But that makes their story less plausible. Can't come to work. I avoided some shit.
I avoided some shit. Broke my leg in the process.
They're doing, they make themselves sound incompetent. It's much easier to just say, "Oh, I didn't see it. I slid in it, and then it happened." I mean, your pride's at stake.
I was going to say,
your job isn't.
Have to admit to sliding around in some dog feces.
It annoys me when people don't pick up their after dogs.
Or themselves. I've seen it. It happened.
What?
I've seen it.
Oh, in Glasgow? That's a shout out to someone, at least one person I know from Glasgow that listens to this. I'm winking and doing a thumbs up.
Your city's a dump.
Your city is a dump, and so people treat it as such.
It's not that bad. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but
I hate Glasgow. I was there last year, and it was horrible.
My girlfriend was in Chongqing in China, where a gentleman left a bar and proceeded to defecate from the curb into the street.
And then walk off.
Yeah.
Did anyone bat an eyelid?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe. It wasn't me or anything.
Is that the twist in the story? It turns out it was you.
Turns out it was man.
It was.
Hello and welcome to the Brain Go Hurty Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Blighty. I'm joined by Flik.
I don't like that you're now the host and I'm just the guy that joined you.
I was wondering if you'd catch on to that. That's why I didn't bother with any of the rest of the spiel that I normally do.
Gaming podcast, blah, blah, blah.
Gaming podcast, go!
Number 45.
Number 45, yeah. Got the number right first time.
In theory, we might be both wrong about that, but it doesn't matter.
We'll find out later.
Yeah, one of the pedantic people that listen to us will tell us, I'm sure.
Bunch of pedants. I like that word.
It's a word you have to say very carefully, because if someone mishears it, bad things happen.
Bad things happen. You go to prison. So, gaming, rather than talking about stepping in dog turds.
Yes, we should probably get off that.
Quite quickly.
Yeah, so games we've been playing in the last 2 weeks and a day, because we recorded this a day late.
2 weeks and a day, oh no. Okay, I'll start off. I finished Black Ops 2, the campaign, finally.
Hooray! You got a bad ending, because you messed up somewhere.
It wasn't a bad ending.
It was a bad ending.
It was like ending 3 out of 4 or something.
So that's one above worst.
Yeah, it's
not quite bad, but not good either.
The bad people died. But some of the
it's just they took the good people with them.
That's fine. That's acceptable. Acceptable losses to me. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, but I did enjoy it, but it felt a bit predictable-ish. You know, like
you saw it all coming.
Not all of it, but I just.
Did you work out who the mole was?
No, I didn't work out who the mole was.
Neither did I.
But I
you didn't get value for money. It's what you're skirting around.
That's the problem. Is that like in terms of a campaign, it wasn't long enough to be worth the amount I paid for it. The multiplayer is what should have really counterbalanced that, and it didn't because the multiplayer was pish. Feel free to disagree. Email bringohurty@gmail.com. But you will get read out. You won't get edited or anything. I will read your email out live on air, but I won't agree with it.
Vocally,
very vocally. Possibly anally, too.
Ooh. How do you disagree with something anally?
Insert fart noise here.
Oh, right, okay. Quickly moving on, since you're degrading this very quickly.
Very quickly.
I was on Age of Empires Online for some reason. I can't quite remember why. I think I was bored. I was just bored. I think it was when you were away somewhere, in fact. You've been away for a few days in the last 2 weeks?
No, I haven't been anywhere. I've been at work.
Well, either way, I just went back to it. It's one of those things. It's like Civilization. You can just pick it up whenever. And so if you've played previous games, you know what you're doing. You'll never forget.
You just dick around. And
I just dicked around, yeah. In fact, at the end of last year, they did announce they weren't making any more content for it. It's just going to be as is now.
Just it's all right. It just...
So it is freemium. If anyone is interested in a free-to-play Age of Empires game, you get a lot of it for free.
That's true. It feels like it's been dumbed down over the years.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a little bit dumbed down.
That annoys me. That's the thing I didn't like about it. The
questing system in that isn't terribly great.
No.
But no, it's something to play.
Something to do. So you were doing that.
I did. I did some achievement hunting on it and did the Trojan horse stuff, that kind of thing.
Trojan style.
And Helen of Troy, I've been in her. The background noise added to that there. It was like a bed rocking against the wall.
Somebody walking about upstairs.
No, that was the bed moving.
On its own accord. It's like, get up here now.
Paranormal Activity 5. Fuck all happens.
The bed starts humping people.
There was an X-Files episode where that happened.
No, there wasn't.
No, I'm exaggerating slightly. It's like a poltergeist that rapes people, but at the pre-intro stuff in that particular episode, a nun or a nurse is going to leave a room and a bed attacks her, catches her at the back of the legs so she falls over. Not sure why I remember that.
I don't remember this. I think you're making this up.
No, it is a definite episode. I also remember because it ends with an old lady looking solemn in front of a painting or a jigsaw or something like that.
You're not.
It's weird. It's weird the things that stick in your head that for whatever reason. Clearly, I have a fear of bed rape. It's a thing.
It's a real thing with real.
But there's probably teenage boys all over the place that are doing it in reverse, where they're raping their bed.
You had to go there. You just...
Well, they did, not me. I was just talking about an episode of the X-Files.
Shall we move on before you sully our names further?
Yes.
I picked up Assassin's Creed 3 again for a bit, because this is one of those back catalogue things that I haven't got through. In fact, it's the last thing that I can think of that's still in my back
catalogue. And then your list is totally clear now that Black Ops is out of the way as well.
Yeah, well, other than finishing Assassin's Creed, I haven't finished it. That's the last thing. The reason why I haven't finished it is because I'm just not really enjoying it. I don't like some of the changes they made. I don't like the character. I don't like the environments. I don't like the changes to the combat system. I don't like any of it.
Poor Connor. A plank of wood has more charisma.
He's like the Keanu Reeves of the gaming world. He's just...
Yeah, actually he is. Yeah, he has the kind of badass side, but he's also got no personality at all.
Exists, but that's about as far as it goes. And
how far are you in it, roughly? Like memory sequence? Could you tell me that? Or
I couldn't tell you that. I think
I wanted to ask something, but I'm not sure if you're that far yet. So
I get that, they wanted to move the story somewhere else, etc., right? But not staging it in a city and having to have all this fanning about in frontier lands and stuff.
Well, you don't like the frontier? I like that bit.
I don't like the frontier areas and things.
But it's pretty.
I like the city that's like rammed together, and it just feels like there's like endless expanses of nothing. At least in Skyrim, when I wandering about in the wilderness and I stumble across a dungeon or something, there's a bit more mystique
stuff
to it. But in this, it's just like, oh, you stumbled across a bear, right? Kill it, move on.
I think you're addicted to Skyrim, and you need to come to terms with your problem.
Well, that might be the case, but
because you could have been like I remember you asking why Assassin's Creed 3 wasn't in my best of, worst of list.
Oh yeah.
And I said it's because I found it middle of the road. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't like it. So I'm surprised that you're at the point of really not enjoying it. It got monotonous.
The story is all right in terms of the
bits where Connor's shutting up and letting the story happen. Yeah, that's good. The bits with Hatham are good.
But just in general, it's not like it.
Actually, I'm going to ask you anyway because you're not that involved with the story. Have you gotten to the point where Hatham and Connor team up for a while?
No.
The story picks up again then for quite a while, and it's unfortunate it then goes downhill afterwards. But they get kind of forced into working together.
That's interesting, given
there's a father-son dynamic, and that makes it interesting. It gives Connor a bit of personality, but Hatham comes off as the better person, and he's the bad guy. But yeah, the story picks up again after that's forced upon Connor in his situation. So he has daddy issues to deal with.
The problem is that if I'm looking at a bit of free time, we're not playing anything. What do I do? And I go,
the first hour of Skyrim.
Well, exactly. It's just like, you know what? I'll just load up some Skyrim. I'll play the first hour of Skyrim again. Or
if we do any reviews and podcasts in the future, that's how we should rate it. Would you rather play this game that we're reviewing or do the first hour of Skyrim? And if you'd rather do the game, that must mean it's good.
That's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my review system going forwards. Whenever we play anything.
Yeah. Would Blighty play this or Rim? Nobody Google the things I say.
No,
nobody ever Google. If I use a word that you don't get, never ever Google it. Never ever. I am a horrible person.
Put down the Google.
Google is a dangerous weapon in the hands of people.
It will get you arrested.
What? It will get you arrested.
It'll get you arrested for some of the things.
Sodomy is not a crime.
In some countries,
okay. In some it is.
Just to tack onto the side there, I have been playing Skyrim, just in case.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. You have also been drinking. I once more have no excuse for the things I say and do. But you do. You have the get out clause.
I have the get out jail free card, which is I've had a beer or two or
rum, vodka.
No. I might pause this at some point and go and get something a bit stronger. But at the moment, I'm enjoying a rice beer.
A what? A beer made of rice. Oh, you've told me about those before. I remember now.
Well, rather than getting into any of the details on how beer is made, etc., but you can make it with different sets of ingredients.
You pick a cow up and squeeze it.
Squeeze a cow, get the beer.
Add extra horse juices for added flavour.
Like that picture that I put up.
Yes. Although, as I understand it, horse meat isn't bad for you. It's just that
No.
the horses get treated with, painkiller or some medication.
Is it called?
Kill us.
I can't remember.
Bune. It's like the boats in Shogun. And the horses get treated by those.
The horses
too much wood in your diet.
They spend too much time at sea, and because of that, people shouldn't eat them.
Horses are terrific salesmen. Salesmen.
Good day to you.
Sailors,
I'd like
not
to buy
salesmen.
this set of pots and pans.
Yes.
Traveling salesman horse.
I got pitched that a traveling salesman type person who got their son to do it. And it's because or they assume wrongly, that I won't slam the door in the face of a kid doing a sales pitch at me. It's just the religious types do that as well, and it bugs the hell out of me.
In my previous flat, right, where we had, well, you remember it was tiny, and there was obviously there was no garden or any of that. We had people come around trying to sell us plants. I'm not talking about like a little potted plant that you could potentially put on a windowsill or something. I'm talking about like plants that go outside, stuff that you need a garden for. And I had to explain to them why I couldn't buy anything, other than the fact that I don't buy plants.
That's actually very subtle. The kid was trying to pitch a drive, or turn your drive into a bit to park your car.
Is he going to fucking tarmac your drive?
Exactly, yeah. That's what it was for. But it's a garden.
Trust that kid doing that.
Yeah, well, probably if the father's too lazy to do the bloody sales pitch, he'll be getting the kid in the bulldozer.
He'll probably sit there tasting some of the concrete.
Kids don't eat concrete.
I bet they would if they tried.
I bet they would if you paid them enough and put it on the internet.
Make you some money.
Anyway, aren't we supposed to be doing what games we're playing?
I think so, yeah.
Sleeping Dogs. I've been doing more. I was going to say I've been doing more Sleeping Dogs. That sounds wrong. I've been playing more of the game Sleeping Dogs.
I haven't, to be fair, I haven't even really looked at much of it. I saw, the E3 trailers and stuff for it, and then it just
a long time ago.
It just fell by the wayside with me. And the same with you until you just bought it on offer on Steam.
Yeah, in the sale. And after what I was saying last time about I knew that guns would start to play a bigger part, I typically got into the parts where you get introduced to gun combat and things like that.
Does it just become cover-based shooter at that point?
It has cover mechanics, yep. It has kind of bits where you can dive over scenery or cards, and it goes into slow motion so you can aim and things like that. So it still tries to be a bit different, like superhero-y almost. Okay. But and it still has the kung fu stuff as well.
Do you think it should have fallen by the wayside, or do you think it should have been? We should have picked this up. I'm still enjoying it. So I think it's possibly something I wish I'd played sooner. Do you think that I would rather play Sleeping Dogs or the first hour of Skyrim?
I think you would prefer. I think you would get more enjoyment out of Sleeping Dogs at first, but you'd probably get bored of it.
Right. Okay.
If you're not heavily into the kind of kung fu and the authentic setting. And it's ironic because when you get introduced to the gun combat, you're done by your police handler, because I remember seeing last time you play as an undercover cop,
right?
And he specifically says, this isn't like America. You don't get many guns in Hong Kong, but then he teaches you how to use one anyway for the purposes of the game tutorial. And then the next few missions after that were tons of armed enemies.
Suddenly everybody finds a gun.
It's like, suddenly there's an influx of guns in Hong Kong when you just told me that it's very rare, and that's why it's okay that you're a kung fu master instead. So it's a bit disappointed there, especially since it only seems like I'm at the very start of getting deep into the triad stuff. I'm not at the very end when you would expect a mob boss to be surrounded by armed guards.
It sounds like it would be fun if it was possible for you to play using just the kung fu and not be hindered by not having a gun.
Well, superhuman. Bruce Lee, he was bulletproof.
If it allowed you to do things like running up walls and things like that to avoid bullets and things, let's make that game. We've got so many good game ideas. Why don't people
a GTA where you don't use guns, but you also have super?
It's not superpowers per se. It's like
running up a wall is superpowers.
It's like you're in a John Woo movie.
They don't run up walls in John. Well, okay, yes, they do actually. Yes, they do.
But no, scratch that, because John Woo movies are full of guns.
Yes, actually, yes, they are. That's what he's known for. Dual-wielding pistols and setting Earth's gravity about 5 low. Just so that you can do fantastic slow-motion dives.
He's a legend.
Mm. I've been distracted by well, I'll cover the one that we both played, so we can both talk about it.
Okay.
In fact, we're probably going to talk about this a lot, so get prepared, people.
Yep.
Aliens,
Settle
Colonial
down.
Marines.
Yep.
And we are going to talk about this a lot.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, because, well, do you want to start with, we've now finished it. Our playthrough is going up in bits, so probably be around about 20 parts in total, and we're on about 7 now.
20 parts isn't too bad. I mean,
About a 5-hour campaign it took us, maybe about that.
no,
Yeah,
it's a bit longer than 5.
Yeah, we did dilly dally though. We then played it through on the hardest difficulty, and it took about 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We rattled through it then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I did actually enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I'd hyped myself up for, and that's not like I overhyped it. I was just expecting a much more polished game with more options, maybe more environments. The mechanics for the shooting is a bit iffy. I think I've been spoiled by like how good the shooting mechanics are in like Black Ops and all the Call of Duty games. That whenever I play a console shooter now, that's the benchmark for not the guns themselves, just the actual
sensitivity, movement.
Yeah, it feels really tight. Whereas when you're playing Black Ops, it feels like I'm missing things that I shouldn't be missing.
You mean aliens?
Yeah. And people too. People
too, yeah.
But it was a bit of a letdown, I'll be honest.
I didn't hate it as much as everybody seems to, but
No.
I didn't love it either. I liked it playing it co-op.
Yes, this is all based on the campaign at the moment. We're still
campaign co-op.
Campaign co-op.
And we played it after the Day 2 patch, which apparently fixed most of the game-breaking bugs.
That's. I don't mind a game, like I said this before, I don't mind if the game is shipped with loads of bugs and stuff if there is a Day 2 patch.
If they catch it and fix it quick.
Because if you then wait like a month for that patch, then yes, that is a big deal. But if they get that out there straight away, okay, no harm, no foul, it's fine.
I suspect that the really, really, really low review scores, and I'm talking like 2 or 3 in a world where 7 is a below average score, I think the ones that low were more a punishment for Gearbox software than a representation of the state of the game. Because I consider myself using 5 as the average because it's in the middle.
5
and
is the
I would
middle.
say that Aliens deserves to be around about 4.5. Slightly below average. I still had a lot of fun with it. It's definitely got problems.
I would have put it at about a 6.
6?
But I still think I would probably prefer to play the first hour of Skyrim than play
Yeah, that's what you should have said. I would have put it at about, I'd still prefer the first hour of Skyrim. It boggles the mind how badly put together it is, but this is because of this weird situation about apparently what happened with it getting put together.
It started off like 6 years ago, didn't it? And it went through lots of production problems. And it happens every time a game goes through far too long a development cycle because they lose their focus, lose the way. Things that just become like, oh, we're kind of used to that now. Let's say that, when they first started off, the shooting mechanics and stuff, they might have thought these are a bit iffy, but as they're continuing to develop, etc., they just get used to it in playtesting, so that when it gets released, everyone's like, whoa, hang on a minute, this isn't quite right, and all the playtesters didn't catch it.
I don't have as big a problem with the controls as you seem to have. I didn't find them problematic because the aliens aren't particularly aggressive.
That then hones in on another problem. The aliens should have been a lot more aggressive.
Yes, the aliens should have been something that threatened you, whereas it's the human enemies that threaten you in the game, of which there are too many.
It should maybe be that the aliens maybe didn't take as many bullets, but they were a lot faster, and they used the walls and stuff a lot more. They leapt about.
You never played Aliens versus Predator, did you?
I didn't. No, I played the demo.
I played that for review for Critical Gamer. I think I gave it around about a 6 or a 7. And my favourite campaign out of the 3 in it, Human, Alien, and Predator, was the Alien one because it focused on you having to be stealthy because you died quite easy, but you could move lightning fast, and they handled moving on any bit of scenery as best you can in a situation where you can move on any bit of scenery because the camera, you can't account for suddenly changing the camera. I mean, you can't help it.
It gets a bit sort of...
The aliens felt right in that. Even in the multiplayer, where the downside to that multiplayer was the Predator was too strong. but the aliens in that just worked so much better. They moved like they should, whereas in Colonial Marines, they move like people who've shit themselves.
The multiplayer...
They're up on hind legs when they should be on all fours, which is a flaw.
Not all the time, but...
When they attack,
yeah,
leap up, but no, they shouldn't run around on two legs all the time. They did that in the very first Alien movie, but that's because it was a man in a badly made latex suit. They should have went by the later films.
I think I know why they did it, and I'm kind of reluctant to put this forwards, right? But I reckon...
Lazy?
No. I reckon they did it for balance. Now, hear me out, right? Because when you're... Let's go back to GoldenEye, right? GoldenEye on the N64.
Oh, one of
the reasons why Oddjob was banned was because Oddjob was too short, meaning that there was always that little bit of difficulty aiming down because of the
he had
design
to manually aim down because the auto aim didn't account for his height.
Yes, and the N64 controllers was terrible for doing that.
Yes, so
you
no
didn't have to do thumbsticks. So Oddjob was banned. So what you've got here is somebody that's going to be playing as a class that could potentially be scurrying around too low across the battlefield. So they wanted them to be up a bit for the attack.
I was thinking maybe it was laziness and that they're basically the same skeletal structure with different skins built around.
I thought my judgment was pretty bad, but yours is even worse. That's a case of just saying they were.
But that depends how much of the rumours you believe. So do you want a quick rundown of the rumours?
Yeah,
Keep in mind, these are obviously rumours. There's no proof of any of this. This is just rumour and hearsay and all that stuff.
Go for it.
Gearbox got the contract to do the game from Sega, who got it from 20th Century Fox. It's considered official Alien canon, which is what got everybody so interested because 20th Century Fox gave it the green light that this is official now. This fits into the canon. This is the story as it happened after the second movie, before the third, or during the third, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
Gearbox dilly-dallied and brought on a number of subcontracted companies to handle aspects of the game for like multiplayer, campaign, and effects, visuals,
rather than just handling everything in-house. They moved things around a bit.
At E3 last year, and I think we both talked about it, in fact, there was a very impressive demo for the game, and it was purported to be in-game, totally, this is the game as it stands. In fact, it wasn't last year, because I'm forgetting we're in a new year now, it was the year before that.
Yeah.
But it showed stuff going on in the Sulaco hangar, and then down on Hadley's, I keep on saying it.
You always get that. It's
Hadley's Hope, fighting in the ops room, finding off aliens, and then in the hangar doing the same thing with setting up sentries like in the second movie. It looked very impressive. And then between that showing and then the game actually coming out, Gearbox focused on Borderlands 2, and it's up in the air whether they fully focused on it, they squandered money meant for aliens on Borderlands, or what. That's all hearsay. That's not proved at all. So Gearbox got this subcontracted company. I can't remember the name of it. It's Time something. Either way, they apparently got given the assets that Gearbox had so far and said, just you make the game. But they apparently, potentially, just tossed that all out and started from scratch themselves. And then they gave Gearbox what they considered a finished campaign, and Gearbox looked at it and thought, shit, this is terrible. So they scrapped that totally and built what we now have in our hands.
But in far too short a time.
Like a ridiculous short time. They couldn't ask for another extension because it had been going on too long. Sega wouldn't give it to them.
Yeah.
And that's apparently why we are now left with something which actually has nothing from the E3 demo in it at all.
That, while sounding like, obviously that is, you're saying it is rumours.
It's rumours.
Having played through, we have played through the campaign twice now, and I have sunk maybe 12 hours into the multiplayer, maybe less than 12 hours, maybe about 10
12 hours into the multiplayer? What?
Yeah, me and Stephen played the multiplayer a fair bit.
Wow.
I would have to say that I reckon that those rumours are true. It feels like that they obviously had a good direction of what they wanted to do, but it's been rushed.
I like the references to the movies that are in it. Yeah. And people complained about the story being full of generic soldiers. Have they watched the Alien movies?
It's just
the Alien movies invented the generic soldiers, and they're just paying homage to it.
If you want to make an authentic game based on an existing IP, then it's going to carry over from that. They're not going to be these really in-depth characters and stuff. And you can see that there are bits in the story where they try to sort of force a little bit in. Which maybe if the game had been longer and maybe a bit darker, I don't mean dark as in light, the lighting. I mean, actually, the mood for the game had been less sort of actiony and a bit more sort of dark. It might have worked, but the campaign definitely feels like they were going in the right direction and something got rushed. The multiplayer feels like they were going with something in the right direction and it got rushed. It feels
like the multiplayer was handled by a third entity, not Gearbox, not the people they handed it to. That was a totally different company. And people are claiming that's the best part, and I don't understand that at all. I hate the multiplayer. I think it's terrible. It's worse. It's not. It's so badly put together compared to even the campaign. It is horribly put together.
The hype that I had, and the reason why I was talking about really looking forward to this coming out, was that one of the multiplayer modes was sort of loosely sounding very similar to Left 4 Dead. And I thought that would be excellent. Left 4 Dead with an alien setting and stuff, fantastic. But it's each level of it, I suppose, is about the equivalent of one part of, like, one chapter of a Left 4 Dead stage. So rather than you getting like a 40-minute to an hour long session with the same group of people going from step to step to step, you get 15 minutes, very dumbed down. It doesn't feel, you don't get any atmosphere for being chased per se or rushing to get to the next section. That doesn't exist. It's just non-existent.
That doesn't exist because it's usually you're insta-killed or insta-kill the thing that's coming to get you. Pretty much everything insta-kills everything.
Yeah. The last time I played a multiplayer that felt that badly put together was the tacked-on multiplayer for Resident Evil 5.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't really need to be there, didn't really do very much at all.
That was just when Capcom was in its infancy of bleeding money out of people via DLC.
That was the last time I played something that felt just like it just shouldn't have existed. It didn't need to be there. And this one, again, it did need to be there, but they just did a really bad job with it. It needed to be much, much better. So, very disappoint. And
halfway through our playthrough of this, I decided to rewatch the 4 Alien movies. And because I was curious how they would handle the fact that Hicks is in it, and yet at the start of the third movie he is dead. And they address it in the game by saying it'd take too long to explain.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny, but also a little bit of a cop-out, especially since it's considered canon now that Hicks was revived on the ship. He called for help while they were above the prison planet.
Mm-hmm.
I guess while he was doing that, Ripley and Newt's pods were launched to the planet. The ship got taken over by the mercenaries. For some reason, again, they were a bit murky about why. They took it back to the planet from the first 2 movies and didn't mind that he'd sent off a distress call. And then took him down to the planet for reasons not really dealt with. Because why didn't they just interrogate him on the ship?
Yeah, and then put a bag over his head.
Yeah, why did they put a bag over his head? And they obviously didn't leave it on his head because he knew that the person running the company looked like Bishop. And knew that he wasn't breathing, so he knew it was a synthetic. It's full of plot holes, is what we're saying.
But
I'd also like to just point out quickly that the first 2 Alien movies are still fantastic by today's standard. I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching them. They're the same movie, told in this similar way, but the second movie is by far the best. The reason I bring it up is because it's a rare case where the sequel is better than the first one.
I got the Blu-ray trilogy. I can't remember if it's trilogy or quadrilogy that I got. Anyway, definitely the first 3 movies on Blu-ray. Watched the first one more or less straight after getting it. Haven't got around to watching the second one on Blu-ray. But I will say... Is that
because your girlfriend felt sorry for all the aliens? That was Starship Troopers.
That's Starship Troopers.
Yeah, the aliens in that are so much more attractive than the Xenomorphs.
It's not about wanting to have sex with the aliens. It's about feeling sorry for them.
It's about soldiers being dicks.
To be fair, the soldiers in
Starship Troopers are dicks.
They are dicks.
I mean, they're kind of dicks in Aliens as in the second movie, but they also have a bit of personality behind them as well that you kind of feel sorry for some of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the first film is still the best in terms of ramping up tension, but it is very dated.
If you haven't watched the Aliens movies, then you should really, really go and do that.
Yeah.
They're old, but they are very, very good.
Yeah. Keep in mind, the first 2, but So the last thing about Aliens Colonial Marines I wanted to bring up was the Kotaku review of it. In fact, there is something else, but the review of it really got on my nerves.
I looked at this review after we started playing it because I'd heard about it, not just from you, but from other sources. I'd heard about this review. So
Now, I should point out I agree with some of the things in the review. I agree it's not a good game. I don't agree it's a terrible game. But I think it was an example of why Kotaku is terrible, because it was a horrifically written review. It was horrible. It
And you're not
semblance
even,
of point.
Yeah, you're not even just talking about the points that they made. You're talking
I'm
about
talking about
constructed.
the manner in which it was written. There's no decent structure, no easily put across points other than, I don't like the noise the gun makes.
Which
and then they did a video of the pulse rifle noise, which is one of the best gun noises in existence.
I'm sure I said that in a previous podcast. I want to replace the noise my ejaculate makes with the noise of the... And I'm spent.
But obviously this must be a person who's too young to remember, or just didn't bother watching the original Alien movie. And in fact, the noise is only in the second film. The other ones didn't. The third one has no guns, and neither does the first one.
I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. But I'm pretty certain that the person that did the review was a woman.
It was,
and these sorts of movies and these sorts of games historically don't tend to gel well with women. That's a very big stereotype.
Why give it to them? Why give it to her then?
That is a very big stereotype for me to make, but it does tend to be the case that, like, I mean, my sister plays games, my girlfriend plays games. They love them, but they don't like shooting games at all.
I wouldn't word it like that, but I would do what my editor does. He might come to me and say, we've got a review copy of FIFA 2013. Do you want to review it? And I'll say, I'm honestly not interested in football. I'd give it to someone else. And he'll say, okay, fine. You'll find someone who's into it. Because otherwise you've got to give it a fighting chance. And if you give it to somebody that's going to sink the ship before they even get on it, then that's not really very fair, is it? Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention about the review is they said the game was 5 hours long, and 2 hours of it was her trying to work out how to kill the last boss. I'm not sure how you can fail to work out how to kill the last boss, considering Bishop tells you as soon as it starts what you have to do, and it's very, very obvious.
It's very simple. It's very straightforward, and it's very closed off. It's very closed off without spoiling anything. I mean, like we don't intend to spoil it to anybody, but you don't really go very far.
No, it's the last level is one enclosed room. Oh. They even had room to fit in collectibles in that one room, and I don't understand how anyone could suffer. But I mean, when you're by yourself, I suppose the distraction element would be hard, but you have plenty of scenery to hide behind. So I don't understand at all how someone. I mean, they basically just took the first tyrant fight from Code Veronica and said, "Do that."
Yeah, pretty much. But it's the fact that you're told.
You're told, yeah, you are actually told, and I find that kind of sweeping. Horrible. They clearly weren't giving a shit or paying attention. I mean, it's okay to hate a game. I've hated plenty of games I've reviewed, but I've tried very, very hard to give good, justifiable reasons why. And this person clearly didn't give a shit.
It just feels like they went in deciding that they might give it a shot.
They went in.
They didn't like the first sort of 15 minutes or whatever of how the game played, and then decided not to give it their full attention. So the review ended up becoming, as we both pointed out, full of holes and obviously a bad review. Not the fact that they gave it a bad score, but the review itself was just bad.
It was a bad review. Yeah, but
it just reeks of how Kotaku works these days.
Yeah. Comparatively, there was a single review that gave it 9 out of 10. I read that one as well, and it reads like someone who didn't play the game at all. It reads like they were given the box and someone forgot to put a disc in. It's a very funny read. And people were raging at that because it was someone who dared to give Halo 4 a 7 out of 10. So comparatively, that is a bit of a weird thing, although you can't judge games by comparison like that. You have to judge them on their own merits.
It's got to the point, and we've discussed this before, that reviews are almost pointless now. I know that you do reviews, so this is kind of,
I do, but I agree that they are. No one reads what I write; they read the score.
Exactly, and at the same time, the score isn't even relevant because you're saying anything lower than a 7 is considered to be trash.
By everyone other than myself.
That's what the consensus has become. Other than you, me, and Torque from
Torg, whatever his name, Mr. Torque.
Blowjobs from Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
It's getting daft. That's why I don't even really bother with them anymore. I just look at trailers and clips and stuff and decide.
I don't watch trailers because they're always CG. I try and watch video reviews because then at least if they
can put them on mute.
If they make an assertion about glitches or whatever, they usually show proof of it. So then I believe them. or they say the dialogue's terrible. They'll show an example of terrible dialogue.
Yeah.
That leads me to believe the points they're making rather than assuming they're telling me the truth.
So that was a very long, serious debate.
That was.
And a very long discussion about aliens.
One question. Aliens, Colonial Marines, first era of Skyrim.
Problem being, I've just played all the way through it, so...
Okay, well, imagine you'd only played, like, halfway through. And I
would say Aliens, Colonial Marines. I did actually get some enjoyment out of it. And I think I got more enjoyment out of the co-op campaign of Aliens, Colonial Marines than I did out of Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to do the campaign again on difficult because we did it on the one. We did
it on hardened, which was one up from
normal, and it didn't feel hard enough. It didn't feel hard enough.
Well, hardened was not hard enough.
No, it wasn't hard enough for me.
But Ultimate Badass was surprisingly good. We should have played it on that.
Yeah, that was balanced. We should have just done that straight off the bat.
And you felt threatened at times, even though the humans were more threatening than the aliens, and you have no HUD, so you can't keep track of your ammo other than what's written on the side of the gun.
As I was saying, like I wanted to do it on the next difficulty up, whereas I really wasn't looking forward to doing Resident Evil 6 all over again.
Okay, so the next question I have for you is Season Pass, or the first hour of Skyrim. Keeping in mind that the first of the 4 DLC packs Colonial Marines is apparently getting is a Horde mode.
That's a difficult one. I don't tend to buy season passes.
Okay, well, you know what I mean, but I'm meaning, okay, you prefer to pick and choose, whereas
you like to get the savings.
I like the saving because it accounts for one of the DLC being crap. That's the only reason. If I know I'm going to play.
All right, well, live on air then. Are you deciding to get the season pass for Aliens Colonial Marines?
No, they didn't put any effort into the game, or not enough effort.
I don't think any new content is going to save it because the existing problems will continue.
I think if they were to scrap it and make all the DLC they're apparently working on, which is single player and multiplayer, they should make it free as a sorry,
as an apology.
But I don't think they can, even if they wanted to, because they'll want to recoup some of their costs and their massive losses. So Randy Pitcher said on Twitter that he thinks he's facing a tremendous amount of money lost.
He's got a good name.
Yeah, he's the hate figure right now in gaming. Just not just because of Colonial Marines, but just because of his asshole attitude with Gearbox in general. Because Gearbox only makes Borderlands in terms of good games. They've not really done anything else. You just call him fuckface.
I said sad face. He is a fuckface. Let's do the emails first, really quick.
Emails first, and then controller second.
So, true to form, the two Rorys that's what I'm going to call them. They're the two Rorys.
Rorys
have got in contact with us. So
we should get them in contact with each other to make a comedy duo.
Roryception.
The two Rorys.
That was terrible.
I know, and only British people will get it. Doesn't matter.
So, Rory Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Hello and Turnip. Turnip is reference to the Facebook poll that we ran.
Not a poll on... yeah, okay, yeah. Not a poll on the subject of it, yeah.
So, Flik. It's another Naruto question this time.
Oh, I get lots of those.
With the first real death, in brackets, of a main character in the Shinobi War, do you think it was the right choice to kill off this character? I'm not mentioning the character's name, so as not to spoil it for people who are watching the anime. And if not, why do you think this?
I heard the collective screams of fangirls and fanfic writers everywhere. It did come out of nowhere, the death. I wasn't expecting it. But it was just to serve a purpose. The villain is trying to make Naruto into him, and he's getting annoyed that Naruto is refusing. So he's goading him, and by killing his comrades after he said, don't kill them. So that's the point it serves. I don't really care about the character who died. He wasn't a major character, I would say. He's like a Krillin. He's kind of there, but he's not powerful enough to matter, unfortunately. He was one of my favourite characters in the original series, though.
It's kind of hard to have this.
It is kind of hard to have a conversation about without mentioning the name. I could say that I don't even know how far along the anime is, so I don't even know if it's happening
I haven't watched
soon.
it in a very, very long time.
I know it's going back into fillers. It's going to be wonderful how they shoehorn fillers into the middle of a war, because I think the war stuff has at least started happening. It must have done, because that's what's happening in a game I played.
I will need to get back into the anime to find out.
I know there's lots of conspiracy theories about that he didn't really die, but no, I think he did. It would be far too convoluted.
Also, it's a he, so it's not a she then.
It's not a she, no. She characters don't get much love in Naruto unless they're villains. It's a Japanese thing.
He also then adds at the end of the email, do you think that Toby will be talk no jutsu'd out of being evil, as it would be a major cop-out?
I don't think it's a major cop-out. That's kind of Naruto's trump card. He talks villains into seeing his point of view. That's his power. So, yes, I think he will, and then I think he will be killed as a result. Not Naruto, Toby.
No, that would be one way.
That'd be a hell of an ending if he died. But, no, yeah, I think he is going to convince him. He's going to see the error of his ways, and then he's going to die. Not by Naruto's hands, by the other villain's hands.
Having not caught up with any of this sort of thing, knowing from the character, I'm assuming that it would be a case of, well, you can't leave somebody powerful just rooting around on Naruto's side, so they just kill him off.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would give more power to the other villain, and then become a bigger threat, and then all the other stuff. Yeah, that's what will happen. I thought that was what was going to happen in the long run with Sasuke, but if it happens now, something else will probably happen. In that regard, it's typical storytelling. That's how it happens.
It's how shit gets done.
And as I say, that it isn't out of nowhere. It's what Naruto does. If you go back and watch, he's not particularly strong, or he is now, but he never really was. But his power was convincing people to see things his way.
So there you go. So thank you very much, Rory Wood.
That's actually why I prefer Naruto to a character like Goku, who's just like, I'll blow up a planet now. Naruto needs his friends to be strong, so it teaches a better message than just be Goku.
Just be Goku. And
be Goku.
Be Goku equals win.
Yeah. Don't be Krillin, be Goku.
Speaking of Goku, the live-action Dragon Ball movie was on the telly the other day.
Oh, I've never seen it. I just know how bad.
I clocked the first 5 minutes of it. I thought, actually, this doesn't seem too bad. In terms of saying this isn't too bad, it was kind of like...
didn't it have Cho Young Fat as what's his name, Master Roshi?
It was about in the same level as Bulletproof Monk.
That was awful.
Bulletproof Monk wasn't that bad. Anyway, should we move on to the next email?
We should, because I believe you've told me this is another wall of text from the person I specifically told not to send a wall of text.
This one is from Rory Belmont.
Oh dear.
And it is wall of text.
Oh dear.
So, hello Blighty and Astos. To start, there are a few things I could clarify from last time, but I'll refrain from doing so, since me try no use many words this time. That's how he's written it. Since me try no use many words this time.
He's being sarcastic.
But I can't promise anything. I only have vague ideas of what I want to talk about in the emails, so I don't set them when I start. I sometimes have the train of thought derailed and takes a scenic route as it charges mercilessly through the countryside, leaving terror and destruction in its wake.
Pro tip for next time, don't go into detail about going into the detail of writing an email, and you'll save a bit of space.
Until it meets back up with the track and arrives at its destination.
It goes on.
Anyway, one thing I will clarify is a mistake Mateus did. He's giving you different names as he goes through.
Yeah, I've gathered that bit so far, yes.
Which I'm quite disappointed in him for. I'm not French-Canadian, my stepfather is, something Zande should have known. Since my biological father is Irish and my mother is English, I do speak French, though. That doesn't make me French-Canadian. I mean, I also speak and or understand a bit of Spanish and Latin, tiny bit of German, Japanese. That doesn't make me some kind of language-spewing monster charging through the countryside.
No. It does make you a filthy mongrel, though.
Leaving terror and destruction in my wake until I meet back up with the rail and arrive at my destination.
This is a very tortured metaphor you've got there.
Anyway,
yes, when I said he was French-Canadian, what I did mean was he is in Canada and speaks French.
Yeah.
There's my clarification.
That's pretty much the British understanding of it in general, really, I suppose, isn't it? If you speak French and you live in Canada, you're French-Canadian.
And also smell.
I wouldn't go that far, but anyway, something the Spoony Bard mentioned last time about the Wii U having that thing where the account is synced with the system. That was what I was talking about. So
you were talking about that.
So I'm the Spoony Bard.
You are a Spoony Bard. You are a right Spoony Bard.
I'm a right Spoony Bard. I think the PS3 may have the same sort of feature because I was at my friend's on his PS3 and I tried to sign into my account in order to access the save games from my system that I stored online.
Like recovering a gamer tag.
Yeah, since I have a PlayStation Plus membership, being able to access your saves from a friend's system is, or was anyway, something you were supposedly able to do.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't let me log in, saying the account was used by another system. And I know my PS3 wasn't on at home because I'm the only one who uses it. Well, to be fair, are you sure that you didn't have it on standby? Because if it's on standby, it will probably still be holding your details on in the background or something. Because if it's tied to... I don't know.
I don't know either. I've never done that with a PS3, so I can see. I know recovering a gamer tag works fine on 360.
Yes.
But, no, I don't know.
The point there, that I suppose, like to defend the PS3 to a certain extent, is that you're not talking about like your account being moved from one console to the next there. You're just talking about accessing save games. If you downloaded games to your PlayStation like account or whatever, and then you bought another PlayStation, loaded your account up, you'd be able to re-download those games.
Yeah, which was the point in the Wii U story. The person did exactly that and couldn't.
Yeah, that was the problem. It wasn't that he couldn't go onto another console and use his login and get his save files. It was that he couldn't get the games he'd paid for, which is
far worse.
Yeah. It could be a lot worse. It could be that you have things stored on bloody memory cards like we used to in the olden days.
I should point out, in that Wii U case, they credited his account for the estimated value of the games he had lost, so he could rebuy them or spend it on other things.
That's all right. So anyway, didn't much want to go on with that, just bringing it up. Now, I did have a question for you and Gilgamesh. Since last time we were
Final Fantasy things is the theme then.
We were briefly on the topic of graphics and story being important in a game. I was wondering the importance you and Kefka had things for a game to be good. Let's say the categories are story, graphics, soundtrack, controls, innovation, as in something different as opposed to the same thing 12 other games have already done, not like Kinect compatibility or anything.
Thank you, we know what innovation is. Condescending Canadian prick.
I know. What are we up to now? 7? Let's say Hojo said he held story to be important as well, but he says a lot of things, so I really want to know the order he has. So basically, from what I'm reading, Roy wants to know, in what order would you rate story, graphics, soundtrack, controls, innovation, and challenge?
I would put challenge 2 up, and in that order.
So you would have it going story, graphics, soundtrack, challenge.
Control.
No, controls have to be quite high, because I was bitching about controls throughout Colonial Marines there.
Yeah, but I didn't have any of the problems you had with it. I think they're in your head. And the controls of Sleeping Dogs on PC kind of bugs me if you use a keyboard, but I'm still enjoying that. So I don't rate controls particularly high. And by challenge, I mean fair challenge, not Dark Souls challenge. I
would move soundtrack down a bit, but not too far down.
So, I was including like voice work.
Yeah, because soundtrack,
not just music.
Yeah, soundtrack is one of those things we've discussed, that if a soundtrack, like it is in music, is very good, you don't necessarily notice it because it just becomes part of the ambiance.
Are you saying that in that accent for his benefit?
Ambiance.
Ambiance. Let's pretend to speak with racist French accents to piss him off. That'll keep the emails coming.
Je voudrais une grande piscine.
Did you just say you're a large fish?
No, I said I wanted a big swimming pool.
Okay.
But anyway,
yeah. Sorry.
In fact, the next word he says is anyway. I'll wrap this up for now, since this is already longer than I envisioned it to be, and I'm sure Chocoboy is going to complain to me about it again.
Yep.
So anything I missed this time, I'll save for next time. Again, I'm rather tired, so typos are sure to be in here somewhere. Yeah, I think we've already gone over that. But as long as I think this is Brane, I can't remember how you Brahne. Bran. That was Final Fantasy 9.
Well, it was in 13 or
13,
whatever.
I don't know.
As well. The one with lightning. It was one of the summons, I think.
As long as Bran doesn't see, it should be fine. P.S. I put some thought into the names I picked this time. So Sinceborn Gui, G-U-I, that better appreciate it. And I spent.
Yeah, well, sure. Why not? I'll try and remember that you're not French Canadian.
You won't try very hard, though.
No, I won't try very hard.
So, thank you, Rory Belmont, for another very long email. My voice will recover one day, Kev.
Yeah, it will do one day, Kev, yes. So that concludes the 2 emails.
It does.
So, if anyone wants to send us one that isn't as long as that, feel free. bringohurry@gmail.com.
You can also leave us messages at facebook.com/bringohurry.
Mm-hmm.
Just get on there. Start up a
Get on there.
We're on there. You can converse with us and things.
Converse with us and things.
Yeah.
Post pictures of your underwear. No, don't do that.
Don't put
Let's quickly move on. So we were still covering games played, and I had 3 still to go.
Jesus Christ.
Well, you know what? One of them I'll just get out of the way quickly because we kind of spoke about the anime. I was playing the Ninja Storm 3 demo. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to the game that's out in just over 2 weeks, I think, or maybe 3 weeks.
Which we will both be getting.
No, you are definitely getting it. People are asking for versus matches between us two.
I figured that'd be good. There'd be something better for... Historically, all your Naruto videos have been you against the computer.
Yeah, because I don't really play people online who take it too seriously and find broken combos and whatnot.
Whereas we can have a bit of fun with it. And also it means banter.
Yeah, we'll give it a go. Just a string of versus matches with us talking over it. And I was also curious if anyone wanted me to do a single commentary rather of the single player. Or just do boss battles like I did for Storm 2. Although they've made it better now where the boss battles, which are just like basic fights, so like in the demo it was Minato versus the Masked Man. And it was done in the normal fight style, so it didn't have all the fancy cutscenes that a boss battle has. But it had something new called Secret Events, where if you trigger something that happened in the manga/anime, you actually get a cutscene with QuickTime events and special stuff happening. So I like that they've thought that through.
Do you like that better? Or do you like the...
I like the boss battles best because they're amazingly well done. It's like watching living anime.
Yeah, it's like whenever you get to like a proper fight in an anime where they get the proper artists back in.
Yeah, exactly. So I just like that they've tried to compensate for that in the fights where they obviously couldn't make every single fight into a big, fully fledged, amazing looking thing. So they made an effort with this one.
I shall warn you and anybody listening that I have only played demos of the previous Naruto games, and the last beat 'em up or brawler, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on, that I played was Dead or Alive 3 or 4, whichever one came out with the 360.
The demo is there to play, you know. It's got very basic buttons anyway. There is actually one attack button. It's just the order.
Just bash the X button.
It's the order in which you press it, and if you press the direction that affects it, and then you also have the button for using special attacks, and then you obviously have substitutions and whatnot as well.
Prepare to watch me get my ass handed to me by someone who's played it a lot.
No, really, I don't think that makes a difference, really. But we'll see. We'll see. I have been playing a game called 4 Pictures, 1 Word for tablet devices and phones and whatnot.
I have seen people posting for
spamming Facebook on it because they're too stupid to work it out for themselves. Yeah, there's 2 games called the same thing, and I think I've actually got the copycat one.
The Android store has 4.
Oh, okay.
I looked this up actually recently. The Android store has 4, which are the identical
It's the new N thing, which everyone's ripping off. But because they're all freemium, it doesn't matter because you get the whole game for free. It's just that if you want to buy hint coins, you then spend money.
Why the fuck would you need that?
Exactly, because you can just share via Facebook, and then someone will tell you the answer if it's smarter than you. So yeah, just like if I've been sitting doing nothing or whatever, I just play it in little bits. It's interesting. It's a fun concept. I'm not surprised that it's getting copycatted the hell out of it.
Same as that, draw something that had the same issues.
I imagine. I'm not sure which was first. As I say, I think I'm playing the first copycat, but I looked at them both and they're basically identical, and they're both fine. They use free to use images, so it's not like there's anything proprietary anyway. So
there have been some joke ones that people have released and stuff, where it's been pictures of like people that are despised, etc., and a woman's vagina, and then the answer at the bottom is like, I've just say the bleep myself rather than going back in and bleeping it over. But
yeah, okay. So they were saying beep. Beep. That's clever. I'm surprised that got kept on there, but
no, not on there, not on the game. People.
Oh, you mean right? Just outside of it.
People have faked the image and put that on Facebook.
That's very funny. You could do that you could do a gaming edition one, and that would sell. Well, it wouldn't sell, but lots of people would play it.
That would be fun.
Yeah, edit that out so we can make it. Never mind. So the last game on my list is Metal Gear Revengeance, which I have finished.
I'm surprised you left this to the very, very end, because I anticipated you wanted to talk about it.
I kind of did, but then this kind of spiraled out of control.
Spiraled wildly out of control.
Yeah. I would compare it to DMC, Devil May Cry. I prefer DMC, but I did quite enjoy Revengeance.
Even with its stupidly spelled title.
With its stupid, they couldn't go with Rising because Rising has absolutely nothing to do with what happens in the game. The plot is essentially Raiden gets his ass kicked, he goes to kick the asses of people who kicked his ass. So Revengeance fits. And revenge is too short a word and doesn't really sound like a good title.
It should have been
Revenge.
Metal Gear Solid Revenge of the Ass Kickers or something.
Cyborg Ninja gets pissed.
Cyborg Ninja
goes to kick ass of person who took his face off. So yeah, the biggest flaw is like the stuff I complained about when I was playing the demo, not having a block button and having your parry button be your attack button. In one-on-one fights, or fights against just basic enemies where they don't really put up much of a fight, it's fine. But later in the game, when you're fighting really tough enemies that take a while to go down, you're fighting multiple of them at once. You might go to hit the one that's closest to you, but the one behind that will be winding up an attack, so Raiden will parry instead when you didn't want to. The game doesn't know who you're locked on to. Well, you can lock onto a target, but if you're facing multiple at the same time, you don't want to do that.
No.
So yeah, it got on my nerves that you only had parry. Although eventually you can learn a sidestep / dash thing, and you can exploit the hell out of that to the end. Just keep on doing that and you'll win. It might take a little while, but yeah.
Hacks.
Yeah, I did still enjoy it. It had a good soundtrack, kind of rock soundtrack. Although, weirdly, whoever composed it, they made the mistake of making the vocals too in sync with the volume levels of the music, so it's actually a bit distracting.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. Like, because I've listened to some of the tracks separately, because I thought maybe it was just because of all the game sound effects as well. But no, the voice tracks aren't loud enough compared to the instruments.
It's weird that you don't have the option in the sound settings to lower the...
Well, you have volume, but it would be music and sound. It wouldn't be the vocal track of it.
Boo.
And the last boss was terrible. That's the other thing. You have a good fight against a big giant thing, and that should have been the last real fight, and then you should have just had a wind-up fight. But no, the last guy's magically got superpowers. Goes all Goku on you.
Destroys a planet.
Get your ass handed to you for a few fights where you can't win. You've just got to wait for the cutscenes to trigger, and then you get the means to, and then it's still a pain in the arse fight because he does nothing but unblockable attack or unparryable attacks. And then the worst bit, this is the bit I wanted to mention, there's a bit where he jumps up and then starts throwing scenery at you. And it's because the game's all about, you cut everything. So it's not the first time you've had scenery thrown at you through the game, but this time you have to cut very specific places for some, just
for some reason.
Just to make it a little bit harder. And it's fine. You cut the first set, and then there's a second set behind it. But if you stay where the game puts you when he starts chucking the scenery at you, it's physically impossible to cut where it wants you to cut in the second set of scenery. So I thought, and then when it hits you, it takes off over half your health as well, might add. That was pissing me off to no end. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll jump into the air and then trigger what calls it Zandatsu. That's when you go into the free cutting mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's fine. Did the first one, did the second set, and then there's a third set with a really low set of cut marks that you can't get if you jumped into the air. So I was getting infuriated with that until I found, and if anyone else has the same trouble as me on this, just run under them. Don't even try to hit them. Just run towards the guy chucking them at you, and it will actually fly right over your head, and you won't have to do it.
Again, further hacks. You're a big filthy hacks.
Well, if a boss cheats against me, I cheat against it. That's my logic.
Cheating on the boss.
Yeah, it wasn't a fair fight, and it was getting on my nerves. So I'm glad I found a little workaround. And as I say, just exploit the dash evade / thing, and that'll do it. Oh yeah, and if you don't know where to hit the last boss, he heals himself to full ever so often.
Often?
Often. You have to either hit him from the front and get countered and take a lot of damage, or find the very specific bit you have to cut that's hidden. So yeah, not a good last boss. I was really liking it up until that point as well, and then I just thought, why did you do this?
Was his hidden cut point the gooch?
Yes. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Sliced his gooch.
Oh, and they kept the codec conversations to a minimum. You can still have them if you want to, but they're not forced on you.
Unfortunately, you don't get the snake.
Raiden. They still do it. Oh. It's the thing. There's in-jokes for Metal Gear Solid all the way through it. So yeah, I would cautiously recommend it, but I would say that DMC is far better. So if you're umming and ahhing between the two of them, definitely go with DMC.
Do you think that I would rather play that or the first hour of Skyrim?
Revengeance we're talking about here.
Yeah.
In the first hour of Revengeance, it's only a 5-hour game, might I add, and there's no multiplayer, just VR missions, so there's not a lot of replayability. In the first hour of the game, you're chopping people, cars, trees into little bits. You take a Metal Gear apart. You jump up missiles being fired by a helicopter and then throw it at something. I'd say you'd probably be into it. Just because
the style of game, I'm just not into that style of game. Same with Devil May Cry.
Well, that's your fault.
It's my fault.
Very briefly, on the subject of Devil May Cry, it's getting a free DLC and a pay-for DLC. So that's kind of middle-of-the-road score for Capcom there. The free DLC is Bloody Palace, that's been in the few previous games. It's just tier after tier of harder fights. The pay-for DLC is the Virgil DLC, which is set after the story mode.
So wait. Capcom are releasing free DLC?
Yeah. Well, I think Ninja Theory is probably having like a really big influence here on them. Ninja Theory is a British-made company.
You better duck for the pigs that are flying around right now.
That was terrible. And that also concludes that, which does leave the thing that we really should have brought up sooner, but we didn't. So there's going to be a PS4 then. The
big reveal, PS4, which wasn't really revealed.
Yeah, they didn't remember to show what the console looked like.
That's my big irk. Why they didn't show the console.
They also didn't do a price point, but they did do a release date. It's out this Christmas, and they showed the new pad.
Which doesn't look that much different.
No, it's got a touchpad on the front and a share button on the back. And a light. I'm not sure what the light's for. I can't remember. I think it's just to show... it's to show colours when you're using multiple of them, but no one games in the same house anymore, so waste of time there.
Unnecessary.
So yeah, they didn't show the console. That's a bit weird, and people kind of got bored during their presentation because it was very dour for the most part. I must admit I liked the way they did it. They didn't make it like an E3 presentation where they make it all American and over the top, and
it seemed more like a business presentation than
at first. And then when the third party people came on, then it went a bit more E3.
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to that, they were treating it like a proper meeting, I found, and I was engaged. I found it interesting when they didn't condescend, or they did slightly, but they spoke about what the PS4's got in it, how it stacks up. So, what were your thoughts on it? You only watched the abridged.
No. I did go back and look over some of the trailers, etc. But I didn't, sit through the whole.
You watched the trailer stuff. You didn't watch the business stuff that I watched.
No, because I just read up on all those bits and pieces, and it just that particular part was like, right, fair enough. Okay, let me see it in action. Let me see it for definite in action, and I'm not confident that I did definitely see it in action. That was my problem.
What you think they were all fake demos?
I don't necessarily think that they were definitely true. People are saying that that we were seeing glimpses of the walking. Oh, what's the fucking name of that? Is it Walking Dog? Not Walking Dogs. What's the name?
The cop one that Ubisoft is making. It's not Sleeping Dogs. It's something dogs. It's other dogs.
It's dogs. Something dogs. Whatever it's called. Waking Dogs. That's it. Waking Dogs, wasn't it?
I don't think it's Waking Dogs, because that's just the opposite of Sleeping Dogs.
What's going on?
It's the police tower, and I can't remember what it is now.
Watch Dogs.
That's the one.
Watch Dogs.
Hey,
It's supposedly. Yeah,
that was totally real because it's already made for PS3. We just ran it on a higher system, so it was on the PS4 technically.
That one, yeah. But
the Killzone 4 one or whatever it's called, that's real because it was played on Jimmy Kimmel Live. So that had to be gameplay because it showed him playing it.
But you didn't see the console.
So? That doesn't mean it wasn't a real demo.
No, but what I'm saying is that it could be being played on...
It can be... Oh, right, so what?
This is what used to be the problem.
You could have a PC hiding in the background.
Yes.
Like they used to do back in the day.
The old trick prior to doing, pretending to be playing a game when it was just like a rendered video, was that they were playing the game, but it was running on a high-end PC, not on a console. For example, yes. Well. That's my problem. That's the only problem that I had possible. With... I hadn't considered that. That's the only issue I had with what I was seeing. Everything else, it seems fairly interesting. I would be... It's interesting that they're doing the focus on sharing the games pre-patch or whatever and download. And I think they're obviously jumping on this whole social networking thing is a really big thing. Yeah, it is a big thing. Yes, so making sure that is incorporated into the console at its very base level is obviously going to be important because it's an easy way for them to generate advertising revenue and to, It's very interesting they did the link with the Ustream gaming site because that's a green light for it's okay to stream any PS4 game. Pretty much. We've given you the ability, so it's okay. They haven't gone as far as to make you be able to directly upload to YouTube. That would be a massive step if they did that. But yeah, doing it to No, I'm pretty certain that is. I'm sure that was covered, was it not?
No, YouTube was not mentioned. Definitely not. They were mentioned as a partner app.
That's
not,
right.
Not in the share functionality. The share functionality is for Ustream, or you can get a friend in to watch what you're doing as you do it, and they can text talk with it. Yeah, which is a lot of the stuff they were talking about requires a really good connection. Though to be anything like how good they were making it out to be.
There is that. But then remember, we're not necessarily on the cutting edge of internet connections where we live.
Yes, we are not. Fact, believe it or not, neither is a lot of America.
Really?
I found it surprising.
I actually, on a very different subject, but kind of related. There was a news piece of a community in Yorkshire that were sick and tired of the fact that basically the phone line companies in the area abandoned them. They weren't planning on putting down broadband, fiber optics, etc. So they had people in the community that were college professors and people that had enough together technical know-how that basically put it in themselves. They've got better fiber optics in this small village in Yorkshire that they're piping out to all the various little villages in the area.
That's such a good idea.
Than some of the places, in the big cities.
And I think they just covered their costs.
I didn't see exactly how, well, obviously it's all volunteered for them to do. Yeah. I don't know how,
upkeep cost.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how, do they pay for the service? How that works? That wasn't really covered. But the fact that they just went, right, fuck it, we'll dig up the fields, we'll put down the cables, we'll set it all up, etc. And then they showed you, they were getting, 100 megasecond down sort of thing.
Yeah, the state of the internet in the UK is not good at all, especially even compared to the rest of Europe.
Which is why I don't do videos anymore, because I moved to a new house and my down connection now is at about 4 meg down. Up is about half a meg, whereas before I was on 40 meg down and 15, 16 meg up. So I don't do videos anymore until that improves.
Well, you do them with me instead.
Yeah, I just piggyback on yours, but
yeah, why not? The last thing about the PS4 thing I wanted to talk about, other than today, Bungie released a screenshot of all their staff standing with their hands lifeless. I did find that funny because it was really freaky during the conference that the 4 guys were on stage. 3 of them didn't say a word, and all of them kept their hands glued to their sides, like if they moved them, a sniper would take them out.
They were promised they'd be
bizarre. Shot. And also, they were just. I hate Bungie. They're so up their own arse, and clearly they are up their own arse still. They are what ruined Halo. in my opinion. It wasn't Microsoft, it was them.
The talk is that they're essentially looking at it that Bungie helped make the Xbox 360 the success that it was. Well, not the Xbox 360, the
original Xbox.
The success that it was, and now they're going to make the PS4, the success of the generation.
Bullshit. Same with Blizzard releasing Diablo 3 for it, which I'll go back to in a second. 1 second first. David Cage was on stage talking about how powerful the PS4 is, and they showed that pre-rendered old man with the beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
What's interesting is...
His come to bed eyes. Did you want to
come to bed eyes? They were very detailed eyes, but that isn't what makes you give a shit about characters, and I think that shows what's wrong with the games David Cage makes, Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit Prophecy. You care more about, say... Well, an example I saw was like Lee in The Walking Dead.
Right.
You give a shit about him, and it doesn't matter how many polygons he's made up of. There's certainly not as many as that old guy, but I give more of a shit about what happens to Lee than him.
Yes, because it's not about...
It's not about how they look. It's characterization. It's plot, and it's involving you. It's making you give a shit through proper means, not because of how pretty they are. Or, well, you know what I mean, pretty relatively speaking. I mean, it was a fairly attractive old man, but let's move on. There's a hilarious picture doing the rounds of him wearing glasses with Curb Your Enthusiasm written below it, the game for PS4. I find that very funny. Oh yeah, so Diablo 3 on PS4. Also on PS3, for the record.
Also on PC.
Also on PC for a while. And it's brought out a great conspiracy theory that Diablo 3 was made for the consoles from the start. I have someone's reasoning. I think some of this is hogwash, but some of them is hard to disagree with. So I'm going to run it by you.
Okay.
Okay.
Rumor mill.
Let's roll. Oh no, conspiracy theory mill. So here we go. It's the reason that only 4 players are allowed into the game because of 4 controllers rather.
That's hogwash because
yes, that is hogwash.
4 is the magic number. So
okay, next one.
Game anyway.
The reasons quests make you walk in a linear closed circuit as opposed to big open worlds is to keep your buds next to you on the same screen. Again, I would say that one's hogwash.
No, because you don't need...
Because you can't. Because, for example, you don't have to stay on the same screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the reason for no skill points or complicated number crunching to make console players happy. It's a so-so one.
But they've made a very big point about that. Like that when it was released on the PC, they made a very, very big point about the changes from Diablo 2 to Diablo 3.
But that could be, again, lies because they made it for consoles.
But they made such a very long, lengthy explanation and argument for it that, it could have been so easily just whitewashed over because it was that they were making it for the console. That I don't believe that one.
The reason you have 4 or 5 skills in your hotbar at once is because it's very easy for Xbox PS3 controllers to use.
No, because that ties in with the ridiculously simplified skill trees, etc.
Well, yeah.
That's the reason why. Because it's only really... their explanations when they changed the game from the second one, which everybody loved, to the third one, which was a bit iffy.
Good first time and then crap.
Maybe the first hour of Skyrim. Is that they wanted to go more down they didn't want people to be paying too much attention to all the numbers going in the background and all the weird skills and fucking yourself up with a bad skill set and having to worry about too many skills. They wanted to concentrate down.
You look at it.
Yes, they wanted to concentrate down the gameplay. One of the best, and I can't remember the exact quote, but one of the best things that I've heard from a games developer was in relation to Bungie and in relation to the original Halo. And they were basically explaining that really the original Halo was only 7 seconds of gameplay. But if you can, compress that 7 seconds into the most amazing 7 seconds that you can possibly get out of that type of game, and then just make sure you can recreate it over and over and over again, then the game will be a success. That's what I think that they were trying to do. They were trying to compress down Diablo so that you didn't have to worry about too many buttons and stuff. It was a bit more sort of, pick up and play action-y, which is the way that everything seems to be going these days. They made it simple. They wanted to try to, engage a bigger audience. That's the reason why it ended up like that. I don't think it's because it was meant for consoles.
The reason you can't host a named game because of auto-join console games?
Yeah, okay. That was fairly... It could be either way, yeah, okay.
The game has achievements. It's popular among console/COD fans.
Well, Blizzard have achievements from, like, World of Warcraft, for example, has, like, achievements.
Yeah.
They put that in. So that's...
Achievements aren't a console thing. It's a thing.
Not, I mean, like, you got all your achievements on Steam as well.
The reason for passive skills? Perks, like Call of Duty. Everyone unlocks perks and picks their favourite ones. That's hogwash.
That's bullshit.
Blatherskite.
That's nonsense. There were passive abilities in Diablo 2.
PC gamers are just beta testing for the console release, so it won't be full of bugs. That's how ActiBlizzy intends to make the real money. They probably will make more money on consoles. I would agree with that. Console players are stupid. I am a console player, but I know console players are stupid.
It's...
Also explains why the game doesn't have VoIP for PC gamer chat. We didn't even experience that because we just use Skype, but yeah, it doesn't have any in-game chat.
I don't even... Do you know what? I haven't even really paid attention to whether that exists in many PC games, because I think they understand that people will just prefer...
Unless it's a game with like a versus mode that'll have open mics.
I think
team-based.
I think they just understand that people would prefer to play using... If they're going to use mics, that they've already got mics, they're already using it with a separate standalone program that probably handles it better. I don't know.
So yeah, that was pretty much the biggest controversy that's come out of the PS4 announcement that they did before E3, further devaluing E3 for years to come. After the event, they confirmed it doesn't require an internet connection. It can be used in offline mode.
Okay.
And then there's a slightly more iffy one. They went on record as saying it is possible for second-hand games to work on it. However, this was in an interview with Eurogamer. The guy had to check with his PR guy first. So this may clash with rumours that a few months ago, or a year ago, whatever, Sony patented the ability to... A game is locked to a console, but then if you give it to someone else and they put it in theirs, it'll work, but it acts as a free trial. It acts as freeware.
Ew.
Where eventually it will become locked, and then they are given the option to buy the game.
That's horrible.
So that is horrible, but they haven't been specific enough one way or the other.
How did they get, like, they must have something in place, and this goes back to that whole Wii U discussion that we had there with Rory, where if you then, say, lose your console, it breaks, it dies, you get a new one, is it because the game is then tied... The ownership of the game is tied to your ID?
Well, maybe I worded it wrongly. Maybe it's not specific to the console. Maybe it's specific to your PSN, your global account in any console you own from that point. But either way, yeah, I'm a bit worried about that second one because they weren't... Like, his exact response was, yeah, secondhand games work. How do you like that? After discussing with his PR guy how to put it. That doesn't answer whether or not it's fully playing it, or if it's a trial and then you're told to buy it.
That's a bit iffy. I mean,
it's still the lesser of two evils if they're completely blocked on the next 360, which may still be the case. If rumors.
But how many second-hand games do you buy?
I buy none, but I reserve the right to be able to do so.
Exactly. And
it's taking away a liberty.
It also goes back to the issue with the being able to play, previous generations games on the console, because the original PS3
it's not backwards compatible.
Yes, exactly. The original PS3 did, but then they decided that the costs were too high, so that they brought out a cheaper version of the console that didn't have that facility.
You know, that version of the PS3 was sold at a loss, right?
Yes, and they're talking about selling this one at a loss as well.
Yeah. But what is interesting, although it's not backwards compatible in the true sense, they are going to emulate via digital downloads PS1, PS2 and PS3 games. But that does mean having to rebuy them.
Yes, which I've done for some of the ones I wanted for anyway on my PSP.
Yeah, I've rebought some PS1, PS2 era games for my PlayStation 3 because I have no other means to play them.
Yes.
But if I then go get a PS4... I would begrudge having to pay for them again. Now, if they're connected to my PSN and I could just re-download them for free, totally fine with that. Wouldn't have a problem with it.
That would be cool.
Yes, that would be good. That would be fine. That'd be beneficial. I wouldn't need to keep my PS3 in the same place.
You'd be able to manage that swamp of cables and consoles and tech that you have.
Yeah, there is a lot. I'm going to make a prediction now because Xbox kind of gone in the black direction. I think that... I didn't mean that to sound racist. Let me finish.
You mean the colour?
Yes. I think the PS4 is going to be going back to either grey or white.
They've said it's...
No, they won't go white.
No, they've already said that it's going to be colours. I reckon that they're going to release it with multiple different colours.
Oh, you mean like kind of like the old 360 models where you could customize it?
Well, that was more just like the face. No, that's this one, isn't it? The faceplate on the 360. Yeah.
Oh no, the newer Elite.
Oh, you can't do that
models. They don't. Can you? No, it was the original models.
No, I'm thinking they're going to have like a sort of cool blue and like a hot red. No, I reckon they're going to do that.
I liked my crimson red 360, so I would very much enjoy a crimson red PS4, please. Thank you.
I think they're going to do that. I want a black one because all the rest of my stuff is black, black or silver or very dark grey.
That's what your girlfriend said.
PC, the unit that houses everything, the TV, the powers, the 360, my tone port.
The person in the basement.
Shh. It's all black.
Your cat.
My cat is black.
The brown one, it's black.
They're all black on the inside. Just
your
like
favourite type of tea. The colour of your heart.
My lungs won't be black, though.
Yeah, they will.
As time goes on, they clean themselves.
Of course they do.
I'm smoking an electric cigarette that doesn't have any smoke, just vapor.
Aha. No less of an addiction.
No, but it's better for me.
No, it's slightly less worse. Stop telling yourself it's better.
It is better because...
No, it's slightly less bad.
I don't have any of the seriously harmful chemicals. Although nicotine can kill you.
Yes, you have the addiction to the poisonous part. That's stupid. But if you keep convincing yourself it's not... You'll just keep doing it, or do it more. And then it'll work out as being worse.
No, it won't work out as being worse.
It will work out as being worse.
Why will it work out as being worse?
Why is the end of this turned into an intervention for you and your problem?
The bit about smoking that kills you is the smoke, not the nicotine.
Nicotine is a poison.
It is a poison, so is alcohol, but you can have it in moderation.
Alcohol can kill you too.
Yes, but only if you start having far too much of it. Nicotine will kill you if you if I drank a whole bottle of the liquid that I've got, or if I put 50 nicotine patches on my body all at once or something.
If you'd like a YouTube video of Blighty covering every inch of his body with nicotine patches, just to see if he poisons himself or not, feel free to pitch that to us.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Neither do I, but it'd be funny.
I still think, and somebody brought this up about doing the Kinect, the Dragon Ball Z Kinect thing.
DBZ Kinect.
But we made people jump through hoops that they weren't prepared to jump through.
Yeah. Years from now, when we're famous and get thousands of views, they'll be chasing us up about it.
Say about that video.
Well, apparently the next Xbox has a Kinect built into every single one, so whether you want one or not, you're getting one.
Yeah, but so the PS4 is going to have that move thing built in because the controllers themselves have got that bit at the back that allows them.
Oh, is that what the blue glow was for?
Oh shit! Yes, I glossed over that, didn't I? Yes, that's to do with.
I thought it was just for identifying players.
No.
That's not too bad. I don't hate the move functionality because it's the same as the Wii. It's just it's a more accurate way. Kinect doesn't work. I've used it and it doesn't work.
They might make it better.
We'll see at E3 because at least Microsoft know to wait.
It's going to be a good E3. That's for sure.
It'll be an interesting one.
So if you decide, this is a very poor decision, but if you do decide that you don't want to listen to the podcast for the next couple of months and then pick up again at the E3 special, which we're bound to do, it's going to be a good one.
It will be.
It will be.
Bye!
You can't just finish like that. You've got to have music easing yourself out.
Like escaping a tricky situation.
There's not been an awful lot of humour in this one, has there? It's been a very, very matter-of-fact podcast.
You say we're not very funny.
You've got to say something rude and naughty, like boobies.
Boobies are funny.
Fun to play with too.
You leave your cat alone.